Hi, everyone. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Bill. Hi,
Well,
everybody.
welcome to Pure Presence Live, and thank you for joining with us today. You guys, we're going to give it a couple of minutes and let people come in the room. And we just want to thank all of you for joining with us on these many telecasts. This is the last one of 12 that we've done. This is what is normally with Unity Online Radio. This is a season. And this is the end of the season of the summer for Unity Online Radio. And we're getting ready to go into the fall season. But this is the last show for Amy and I on this round of what we're doing. And I just want to publicly just give my utmost gratitude and appreciation to Amy Torres. Amy, thank you for being my co-host for these 12 shows and even before that. And thank you for being my dear friend and collaborator, not only on this, but on other things. Amy has also been very helpful in helping me to upstart. And then today I launched the book study club with that's called Pure Presence, Bill Free's Pure Presence Book Club. And Amy's been very helpful in helping me to get that launched. And I want to thank you for that also, Amy.
Thank you, Bill. I feel a little choked up, and I cherish our friendship and our partnership and each collaboration that we've had and will continue to have, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
It's a little sad in a nice way to have this chapter come to a close. And yes,
Yeah.
everybody, I don't have to tell you how warm and loving Bill Free is, because I know you come back every week to get a shot of Bill Free.
And Amy Torres.
And me.
Yes, and Amy Torres. So thank you all for being with us today on this this last show for the season. And today is going to be a little bit different kind of a show. It's going to have a little bit of what we always have, which is just illumination, bringing light into our experience, into our recognition, into a dialogue, and seeing what you guys have to share with us online here. I see that we have a couple of comments in the chat. Bill is here. Hello, Bill Detellis, and
Hi,
Sarah.
Bill Detellis.
And Sarah Sargi. I don't do the European names that well, but you're from Belgium, and you've been with us for several shows now, and welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yes, it's great to see you, Sarah. Oh, and
Yes.
Here comes Barbara from Sweden. It's international. It's so cool. And Bill Detellis just reached out to me on my personal Facebook page, and feel free to do that, guys. My profile is Amy Torres Teacher if you want my personal page, and Amy Torres ACIM if you want my public figure page. So
yes,
that's why I just stay connected. And with you too, Bill, can they do that?
Well, yeah, I just actually launched my public page today. I haven't put it all together yet, but you can reach me at bill@billfree.com. And also, as many of you know, I've just launched the book study club, Pure Presence Book Study Club today. And you can go to the website at billfree.com, go to Book Club Live and click on the link for register. And you can register today. And our first guest is going to be Rupert Spira. And then also, when you get the link, you'll see the instructions on how to be involved in that book study club. It'll be a live video presentation like this one. And sometimes I'll have a guest and other times I won't. But I'll also have a call-in feature that will bring you in audio live. So you'll be able to turn the volume down on your computer. You'll be able to call in on your phone, and we'll pick your voice up live on the live show. So it's going to be a little bit of a technology thing that I'll be working with, but I feel like I have all the pieces together to do it well. and to do it at a high quality of audio and video. And also, if you haven't already read or bought the book, The Nature of Consciousness by Rupert Spira is necessary to be in the book club. And when you start reading that, it starts to bring you into direct experience of yourself, of the self as God created you. And this is why I'm so pumped about the content that will be shared in this book study club, because it's going to be satsang every week, just like this is. I was talking to Amy before we came live on the show, and you know, when you really look at what this experience is, when you're sharing with someone in dialogue, sharing the truth, you're bringing everyone into the presence of satsang, of recognizing the truth and living in the experience of the truth.
Yeah, satsang is a Sanskrit word. Most of you probably know, but just in case, sat means truth, and sang is like sangha, it's community. So the rich meaning of satsang is communing with truth, sitting in a community together, devoted to truth, experiencing truth, union with truth.
Yeah.
Just the word satsang has an energy. Sanskrit is known for being this very powerful, vibrationally based language. So just to say the word satsang evokes that resonance.
Yes.
Do you feel it? I feel it right now. My whole spine kind of straightens up like I'm a good antenna, you know?
Yes, yes. Satsang. It also, in my mind, it brings a sacredness into my own experience. It somehow, and it's the way you describe that, the Sanskrit meaning of it, and it has a vibration to it. So the vibration sort of sets an intention in the antenna. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I'm very excited about your book club, and I'm signed up for your book club, and I'm sure that I'm going to be a guest and on the book club as well. So
Yes.
I'll be there, guys. You know, I can't promise every time, but I've got the book and it's irresistible. How can we not read it?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Rupert is very inspired. He likes this idea very much, and I collaborate with him and his personal assistant to make sure that we're in sync in him being on the show, and also he's going to share it in his newsletter with his community. So it should. There's probably going to be hundreds and hundreds of people in that study group.
There's a Facebook page called Friends of Rupert Spira. If you're interested in, you know, deepening your association with Rupert, of course, Bill is inviting them to be in the book club, and you could get onto that page and into that group if you like. And it's very important to have Rupert involved in the book club so that he's the master and he makes sure that the message is coming through accurately.
Yes. We definitely want to be, and you know, I couldn't duplicate what Rupert does, but I can definitely facilitate the expression that's coming forth in that book, because we all can draw and absorb from that connection that he is presenting, that's being given to him. And you know, in my mind, Rupert's me in the body called Rupert. Just like Amy is me in the body called Amy. So we can all just really thank ourselves for these other beings that are showing up in form for us to just share the truth.
Yeah, it's a reflection of the purity of your mind, the place in your mind where you're choosing again, and therefore you're manifesting teachers who are just very purely reflecting the truth to you. Just like you could say that the body of A Course in Miracles as a book, as an object, is not something that Helen Schucman wrote, but something that she discovered within her own mind, channeled to us, and then we discover it within our minds, which is why sometimes I feel like people who write about the Course on the purest level, they sound just like the Course. There's no personality in it.
Yes.
So in a way, you could say that you wrote the Course so that you could discover the Course and read it again and awaken to what you already know.
Yes. Yes. Well, I want to say, what were you going to say, Amy?
Go ahead, say, and then I'd like to say something.
Okay. I just want to give a shout out to Bill DeTellis that's here, because he came to our Friday group on Friday of last week, and he shared on the topic of sex and money. And Bill, you did just an amazing, super, super job of presenting the material very, very close to the Course. In fact, you did it in service to the Course, and then Bill added some of his own commentary to it, which I also think was accurate. I don't feel that it was diluted it in any way. And I just want to say, Bill, you are an amazing presenter. You need to put yourself out there more. He's alive. He's funny. And I didn't know this. He also has a presence, a stage presence that is, you don't want him to stop talking. You don't want him to quit. And when you can captivate your audience where they don't want to go to the bathroom because they want to keep listening, you're doing something right. Bill, you did a nice job for us. Thank you. And you guys can watch that presentation go to teachersofgod.org and go to our YouTube channel, and you can see Bill's, or you can go to ACIM Friday from the show that we did last week, and you'll see Bill's presentation, and you'll love it. He did a really good job. Thank you, Bill. So I just want to give a shout out to Bill.
That is high praise. And Bill became my Facebook friend very recently, and then played with me on my Facebook page. And that was a lot of fun. So that's just a tiny taste I got. I didn't even get to see you on stage. And I think it's high praise to say that people would hold it in and not go to the bathroom because they were enjoying you so much.
Yeah, that's the highest praise you can get if somebody won't pee because they don't want to miss anything, right?
You know, on that note, Muji, who's diabetic, shared in a satsang recently that he has to pee every 20 minutes. But when he's in satsang, he sits there for 3 hours, sometimes 5 hours. You know, those are the mega satsangs, but definitely he'll sit for 2-3 hours. And it's just amazing. You know, it's actually a miracle that the body says one thing, but when you're mesmerized with message, spirit says something else.
Yes, yes. Well, it's the, it's funny because that is the truth. When the mind comes into under the service of spirit, it quits being in charge, and now the spirit can actually do something. It can actually, now you have the strength of your true self. You have the strength of God, your God self, that it just, what is it? It trumps all form. It trumps everything physical.
And you know, you guys, Bill and I were talking before the show about the obstacles to peace and the fourth obstacle. And in that section, in A Course in Miracles, the fourth obstacle, it says here, the exaltation of the body is given up in favor of the spirit, which you love as you could never love the body. So as you start to reach a softer place, a more open place, it speaks to exactly that, you know, that the exaltation of the body loses its appeal. And then spirit is just unfurling and blossoming and becoming known as what you really are.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share before we get more deeply into that, because it's irresistible to talk about that stuff.
Well, go ahead, Amy.
That I would love for you guys to get on my mailing list if you're not on it already. And I've been typing into the chat stuff that Bill was saying, like BillFree.com for his book club and teachersofgod.org to see Bill Datellis give his talk. And I'll type in amytorres.love just to make sure you get on my mailing list if you're not already. Because one reason that I'm not doing this show anymore is that I'm closing in on publishing my second book, which is called A Course in Miracles Clarified. The first book is Sweet Dreams of Awakening. That's a book of blessings. This book is a compilation of many, many things that I've been writing in Miracles Magazine, on my blog, a glossary of the terminology of the Course. Other people have done that, and I've read theirs, and they've been invaluable in clarifying what do these terms mean. And I've tried to pluck out more terms that were important to me that I haven't seen in other glossaries. And so the whole book is an easy read, and it won't be that long. And I would love for you guys to receive the announcement when it's coming out. And if you like, to volunteer to be on my launch team. So stay in touch with me. If you get on my mailing list, then you can have your finger on the pulse of what my next wave of work is, if you'd like to.
Oh, that's really good, Amy. Thank you for doing that work. And I also knew that, Amy, she's so gifted, and also she's, the reason that Amy needed to pull back from this show and some other in things that she was involved in was so that she can bring forth this other content that's going to be helpful for all of us.
Thanks for explaining that, Bill. The other big thing that's blossomed up is the Only Meaningful Conversation, which is a video series that I'm going to get some professional help and turn into a podcast as well. So we'll see how those two things, A Course in Miracles Clarified and the Only Meaningful Conversation, evolve. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be good. And the other thing I like about how you handle things, Amy, and is that you really like to test the qualitative content and also experience. I've noticed that with that other, you have another course on intuition that you're also testing, and the way you explained to me, you had a beta test or a pilot testing group to sort of get familiar with the material, and then you launched it. And is that still are you still testing it, or are you launching it yet?
So you guys, I did a pilot course called Tune Out Ego, Tune Intuition. And I learned so much from the pilot and after the pilot that the actual course is not fully built yet, but it is beautiful material. And I want it to come out just the way it's supposed to. And so if you're interested in that, let me know as well. And of course, there's work in the workbook, and it's fall. So those of you who want to start January 1st, I'll start sending out some, announcements that you can begin anytime, work in the workbook. It supports the ASIM workbook practice. But yes, I keep iterating. So improving, as I get your feedback, I will definitely step in and tweak something to just take it to the next level of meeting your needs or fulfilling the call that's coming through me. Nice.
Well, one of I guess everyone knows, everyone in the world, if you don't know it yet, you're going to know it in the next, in the few minutes and in the years to come. My favorite workbook lesson in the course is I am as God created me. And the reason that this is my favorite workbook lesson, the number one reason, is because I feel that this one idea is the most important. It's the most important idea for anyone on the planet to get. And it doesn't matter which tradition you get it in. It is what everyone is seeking for, bar none, is to know thyself. And when you come into the recognition of the self, and you know yourself to be the self, and you have an experience of being the self, which the Course provides, meditation provides it. Many other traditions have found an entry point into this space of what this show is called, Pure Presence. And the workbook lesson 94, 110, 162, and 201 to 220, they all have the same message given in a different way. But Jesus says that this one idea held firmly in the mind is complete salvation. It's your total release. And it's not, you don't have to wait 10 years to get it. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait until you finish the course once or 10 times, but you do have to want it above anything else. You do have to want it like the pearl of great price. And there's an interesting paragraph that Amy pointed out before the show today that I would love to have her read, because I think there's some areas, there's some things that are going on in the background of our own mind that we're not aware of. At least we're not conscious of them. But Jesus spells it out for us in specific detail that allows us to notice what we can't see so that we can let go what's there, that's hiding, that we were unaware of. And so, Amy, I'm just going to invite you to share with our listeners, our viewers, that paragraph, and then just see where it goes from there.
Okay, I would love to do that. So the 4 obstacles to peace, by the way, are that we're afraid of peace, we're opposed to peace, we believe in the body, we have an attraction to death, and then the 4th obstacle is the fear of God. And the 3rd paragraph in that section says, this is the darkest veil. The fear of God is the darkest veil, upheld by the belief in death and protected by the attraction to death. The dedication to death and to its sovereignty is but the solemn vow, the promise made in secret to the ego, never to lift this veil, not to approach it, nor even to suspect that it is there. This is the secret bargain made with the ego to keep what lies beyond the veil forever blotted out and unremembered. Here is your promise never to allow union to call you out of separation. The great amnesia, in which the memory of God seems quite forgotten, the cleavage of yourself from you, the fear of God, the final step in your dissociation. And the reason I brought this up to Bill before the show is that those of us who are so powerfully attracted to presence, to awareness, to being, and yet find that we're not fully established there, we may overlook that the Course has told us outright what's going on. And it's that we've made a series of secret vows and a promise underneath a promise to the ego. So as you peel that back, you find, oh, and there's another one underneath and another under that. And then you get to the end of it. And you haven't understood. None of us have understood. The Course has a particular unique way, a psychological way of explaining how we have willfully and deliberately made a decision to separate from God's mind and forget that God's mind is there and literally go into amnesia, like a form of ego coma, so that we don't know that we are union, that we are God mind. And I just thought if we were going to talk about I am as God created me, that we don't want to spiritualize and bypass what it is that prevents it from being so clear to us. It should be very clear and obvious. Jesus says so in the Course. Mooji says so. Rupert says so. Nisargadatta Maharaj says so. Ramana Maharshi says so. Everybody says so. It's very obvious, but not until it is obvious. And here's one way in, one way to go, oh, that's what I've been doing. And now Bill has to share with you a particular way that he undid this whole quote unquote problem.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so perfect in bringing this forth, Amy, because someone told me about this secret vow. Actually, I was in a retreat where there were about 70 of us on retreat in Santa Fe. We were with Nook Sanchez, and somebody had mentioned this secret vow. And as soon as she mentioned the secret vow, I got an energy and a movement in me that made me stand to my feet. And I said, wait a minute, I renounce that vow right now. I renounce that vow, and anyone that wants to join me in this renunciation, stand up. And the whole room stood up, and I said,
stand secret, up, gang. Stand up.
Stand up. So you can stand up. I'll stand up too. Here you go. So I said, everyone stand up, and we stood up, and I said, that secret vow that I made to the ego, I renounce it right now for all time and all dimensions of time, and I remove it from whence it came, and so it is.
And so it is. And feel free, guys, to say this out loud at home. I renounce the secret vow to the ego, to believe in the body, to believe in death, to feel afraid of God, the very one which I am.
Yes. And you know, it's just that you don't have to stand up. You don't have to lift your hands. I just did it. I did it by just, I was like internally moved to do it. And it had such a powerful impact on that whole group. And I actually feel that it was a speed up. I feel that it removed things, because when I read the 4 obstacles to peace, and that last obstacle, it's not there. It's not there. I feel that is one of the portals that that's allowed me. It's about been since that time. It's allowed me to come into the present so easily.
What year was that, Bill?
Well, it was 2013. It was about 4 years ago.
That's interesting, because 2013 is the year that I picked myself up and went to my first retreat with Mooji. So I'd been following Mooji through YouTubes, and then in 2013 I traveled to Portugal, to Zimar. And you know, in Mooji's satsangs, when people have that feeling that you got, that they find themselves standing and they find themselves saying something out loud, and you don't have to be following Mooji for that to happen. Long before I met Mooji, when I first got to know Guru Mai's Sangha, and I would go there, I would find myself throwing myself on my belly in front of statues. She would have this beautiful winding path with statues of St. Francis of Assisi and Jesus and Mary, and I would just be on the ground prostrating myself in front of statues, and that was not my background. So these involuntary urges to do things like that, I invite you very much to do it. Embody what you're feeling. Don't resist just because it might be embarrassing or quote unquote inappropriate. You know, Bill got up in front of 70 people and said, wait, I want to make a new vow, that I renounce that vow, you know, and I'm totally available to God, and there is no more fear of God. And then to have that integrate, so that, you know, I like to say you're moving from human to being, and that beingness is becoming your new normal as you allow the message to move through you, and whatever movements or actions or words are coming through, to take a leap of faith and trust. So I'm very big on doing what you did, Bill, you know, without trying to make a fuss, yet sometimes it happens that way. And you may find yourself moving from the course to a teacher such as Mooji or Rupert Spira or whoever your teacher is.
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself that as I read the course and it would say things like, you know, you're still like this and you're still like that, I began to feel like I'm not still like this or that. And then new teachers came along.
Yeah.
You know, Rupert likes to say, stand in what you know. The course says you don't know anything. And that served me so well for so long. And it still serves me very well to be pure and humble and know I don't know anything. I don't have to interpret people's actions. I never have to analyze anybody. And to also stand in what I do know, the knowing. How does Rupert put it, Bill? The pure knowing of the light of pure knowing?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The light of pure knowing, and it becomes an experience of embodiment of knowing what you are.
And that's the only reason Bill and I are here. The only reason we're here is to invite you to know what you are in any way that we're meant to do that. Yeah. That's it.
Yes. And we're going to take a station break for just a minute, and then when we come back, I'll give the words to that vow again, and because Myra asked for the vow, if I could say it again or say the words. So definitely. When we come back, I'll repeat that, and then we'll continue with the show.
This program is brought to you by the Teachers of God Foundation and Amy Torres, ACIM.com. Both of these organizations have programs to support you in the transformation and awakening experience. The Teachers of God Foundation has the 40-day program that is free, the Guide to 365, ACIM 365, and Living in Purpose 6-month mastery course. Amy Torres has her well-known Working the Workbook course, her new Intuitive course, and she does private sessions by appointment. Thank you for joining with us today on this webinar. And now back to Bill and Amy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Yes, thank you for you guys. This is so good. I love that we have. I could feel the participation with the guys that are with us right now. And if you guys are watching the show later, then you can still, it's still live. So there's no time. You can still do this. And what Jesus asks us often in the course to make a declaration, to declare our innocence. And when we make a renunciation, you don't have to do it twice. You don't have to say, did I do it right? Your acknowledgement of the removal of that vow is enough. But if you're going to say something, you would just say, I renounce the secret vow that was made with the ego in all dimensions of time, and I resolve it perfectly with God's truth and love right now. And so it is.
That's beautiful, Bill. And so it is.
Yeah. And it's done. And never feel that it needs to be repeated, because healing never needs repeating. And when you make a declaration of that type, it's done with the soul and spirit of your very identity in God. And you can just know that it's true. And the course, Amy and I did a series on the instructions of that Jesus gave, and then we did some of the gifts that are given for us to use as tools in our tool chest. And one of the shows was about, does healing need to be repeated? And the answer is an absolute, emphatical no. Healing never needs repeating. And the only thing that occurs that would give you the idea that healing needs repeating is would sometimes there's a lingering effect that the body hasn't caught up with yet. The mind has made a decision, but it's like the aircraft carrier that takes 30 miles to come to a stop before it turns or before it could actually be stopped. A lingering, the Course talks about lingering and shadows or clouds, and Mooji talks about residue. Rupert, I've heard Rupert use the word residue. And so these are just things that are being caught up, but the mind of presence knows. And you can just deny that this has any effect any longer. The appearance of things are not the truth of what's going on.
Can you feel the nectar, you guys? Do you feel a substance that is heavy in a good way? It's like a grounded knowing that has nothing to do with the body or physicality. That's my experience now, as Bill really just dives deep into truth and the passionate way that he expresses that. And it's helpful to notice this for yourself, to notice, oh, my energetic field has changed. You know, you may find that your head is floating lightly at the top of your spine and your hips are grounded through the legs, through the feet in a way that's very pleasant and secure. So many of us feel anxious. This kind of anchoring rather than anxiety, anchoring in truth by sitting in satsang.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's in the acknowledge. Thank you for recognizing that, Amy, because that is what occurs when we step back, when the person identity and the image that I have made of what I am steps back, and the light steps forward. The light does all the work. The light becomes this. And I love the image of lighthouses because it gives me the idea. It's like that lighthouse is a light for the ships to know where home is. The light in us knows where home is, and it's not separate from us. And we can come to the experience of knowing. We can come to the experience of the light that we are by acknowledging. That's why the satsang is so rich and so powerful. And that's why we love to hear teachers express or students express the truth of our identity in God, because it brings us into the recognition of ourself. And in my mind, there is nothing that has higher value than to know thyself.
Yeah, it's the only reason we're really here. You know, once you've found for yourself that worldly life has pleasures and it has pain for sure, and that you're at the end of your adventure with that, there's something more. There's something that we need to know before we die. Why put it off for the next incarnation or the next dream? Now is the opportunity to do the investigation, the inquiry, and discover what's been here all along, that you've spent lifetimes coming out of that amnesia. For me, you know, I felt at first like I was just wiggling, like I was in a coma, just wiggling my fingertips. Something in me was coming alive, was waking up, but the rest of me I could sense was still very much in the coma state. Well, that's what's happening. We have to acknowledge, whoa, I'm in a coma. In order to really start to facilitate the meltdown of that and the disavowal of that.
Yes. Yes. This, it's funny. Ardith mentioned, somebody said, "Judge not by appearances," and I'll go one step further. Thank you for mentioning that, Ardith, because it really, judge not. Just judge not. Just come into the noticing that judging is taking place, and stay in the experience of just being aware. This is where the power is. This is where great power, and it takes a lot of restraint to not have a commentary on something you think you know about.
Yes, that's so true. And to not engage when an emotion in you is, very compelling, like anger or wanting to blame somebody. Hey, Bill, I want to just read a comment. Ed must have come into the room recently, and he says, it's especially significant to renounce the vow to death itself, the most menacing and unconscious part of the ego's mission. We're right there with you, Ed. And he says, I'm constantly amazed at how few New Age teachers miss a valuable Course in Miracles point, that we can ultimately defeat physical death itself and turn this earth into a virtual paradise. I would, for me, that would come out that when we bring the darkness to the light, then we are turned around and sent to reflect that light back into the world. So I'm not sure if that's how you meant it, Ed, but that's how I'm taking it from me. What do you say, Bill?
Well, yeah, I feel the same. It's but to
Ed says he meant how many, not how few.
Yes, and also I feel why not? I renounce death in all its forms right now. I renounce death. I renounce the idea of death. How can the Son of God have a belief in something that doesn't exist? How is that possible? It's only possible for us to wake up to the recognition of the truth that we are. And I do renounce death with all of us. I raise my awareness to this question that's raised by Ed, and I just renounce it. It's done.
Because Ed might have missed what we just did. You might not have been in the room, Ed, but you can go back and listen to the recording, because that's very synchronicitous.
Yes. Yeah, and you guys, you have no idea the power of your words. You have your ideas of the thoughts that we hold. The Course tells us, and I know this is true, that all thoughts have power, and the thoughts that I give, that I believe, will have a power indeed, even as a dream. So I am only renouncing what never happened. I'm only renouncing what never was. But in the mind of what we are, because we're beings and we're imbued with the same power as our Creator, because there's no place our Creator ends and we begin, because we're one with the Creator. Just like the rays of the sun are not separate from the sun itself. And the power that we have to miscreate is as powerful as the power of creation. And we can stay asleep in that dormant state until we're not. And we could stay there for a long, long time. In fact, Jesus does say in the Course that it took us 1,000,000 years to get here. And it could possibly take another 1,000,000 years to get home. And that seems like a long time.
A couple of comments. One was that I wanted to jump in and say, the ego believes and the ego imagines, but God mind, awareness, beingness, neither believes nor imagines. There's no need for that. Just like in God mind, there's no need for miracles. There's no need for healing. It just is. And so going back to what Bill was saying earlier, I am as God created me. Be still and know that I am God. This is just the greatest freedom. And totally effortless because you don't have to set an intention, nothing, but what the ego has made, setting intentions, believing in things, we can give that to the Holy Spirit to repurpose in a way that serves us in our awakening process. And then you said the power to miscreate is as powerful as the power to create. I don't know. I don't think so. But the power to miscreate is huge. It's tremendous. It made cosmoses, and like you say, it could take a million gazillion years to stop miscreating. However, God's power has to be so much more than that when you think about it.
Yes, I feel that you're right on that, Amy. Although the only reason I feel that it's right is because what the Course says, that God put a limit on my suffering. So He did put a limit on how long I would use the power that's given me inherently, and as my birthright. He put a limit on how long I could miscreate with it. So I would say that has to be correct.
And actually, I know you know that, Bill. It's just sometimes we pop out and say something that I wouldn't want peeps to misunderstand or take the wrong way, when that's actually not even, I think, your intention. So we all do that, and just to use language precisely. Well, that's my thing anyway.
Yeah, that's Rupert's thing too. That's why I love him so much. That's why I love you so much.
Mwah.
Yeah, thank you. And Bill DeTellis said, you are renouncing something that doesn't exist. That's true. And that's okay too, because we will use the form to undo what never was.
Yeah.
And that's the Course. That's why we read the Course. The Course is in our hands as an alarm clock. It's waking us up to the realization that none of this ever happened.
Yeah.
And Ed said something. Love you guys. And Lisa, I wrote a post on this topic called "Life Isn't Short. If time permits, you can read it here."
Can you put it in the chat? Thank you.
And then Artist said, if we, and we do, say I am not a body, but still as God created me, adding perfect, whole, and complete, where's the room for belief in death? That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the idea in this, Ardith, and I think you also know this, is that you have to, you believe it when you see it. And most of us actually don't have the experience of the statement, I am as God created me. And that's why Jesus said that this thought held firmly in the mind is complete salvation. The ego is held silent and entirely undone. And in my experience, it requires something of me where I have to disengage the mind, and it happens like only by recognition. I'm disengaging the mind. I'm going into the heart of presence. I'm going into the heart of God. I am as God created me. And in that recognition, it holds home for me. It holds the space of light and truth and love and all the attributes that were imbued upon me as creation by the Creator. It must be acknowledged, because I've made a world that has to be disengaged, and a shift in my consciousness to the truth of what I am is now engaged. And so it's a shifting process, or a shifting practice, that takes me from what I thought I was into what I know I am.
I can feel it. Those are very inviting words.
Mm.
Those are words with a vibration to them.
Mm.
See, now you guys, I feel a real palpable vibration through the center of the top of my head, what you might call the crown chakra. And I invite you to notice if you're feeling any of this, because you're thinning the body away as you move towards the vibration and light, which is much closer to what you really are. And to actually experience the body being used that way, the shift from purely flesh and blood body to an energetic body is transformational and ultimately transcendent. You know, I'm just going to read you guys something. In the Course, Jesus says to us, "Free your brother as I freed you. Give him the selfsame gift, nor look upon him with condemnation of any kind. See him as guiltless as I look on you, and overlook the sins he thinks he sees within himself. Offer your brother freedom and complete release from sin, here in the garden of seeming agony and death. So will we prepare together the way unto the resurrection of God's Son, and let him rise again to glad remembrance of his Father, who knows no sin, no death, but only life eternal. Together we will disappear into the presence beyond the veil, not to be lost but found, not to be seen but known, and knowing nothing in the plan God has established for salvation will be left undone. This is the journey's purpose, without which is the journey meaningless. Here is the peace of God, given to you eternally by him."
And this invites us to know and to be as God created me. And this is Pure Presence Live. And we want to thank you for joining us on this season of Amy Torres and Bill Free. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Amy, for being my co-host.
Thank
An
you.
awesome friend. And until we meet again, we'll do this again in some other venue. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
So it is.
Thank you. And so
Bye-bye. Bye, Amy.
Bye, Bill. Until the next time.
Yes, I love you.
Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.